Good afternoon, everybody. I hope all is well. Today we will be presenting the bipolar spectrum, and now we will introduce our host members.
I am Nadia.
I'm Alicia.
I'm Mary Standiford.
I'm Vanessa.
And I'm Maya Rose.
Okay, before we start, raise your hand if you have a background knowledge on where the concept of bipolar disorder originated. Anybody? Go ahead. Go ahead.
We all have to answer the questions?
I mean, do you have background knowledge? It's okay. If you don't know, me and my teammate will make sure you have a decent understanding of what bipolar disorder is. Okay. Technical difficulty, guys. Bear with us. There you go. Okay. Before I start talking about the history, you'll be like, Nadia, what is bipolar disorder? Bipolar disorder is a mental health condition that causes extreme, uncontrollable shift in mood, energy, and activity levels. Now, the beginning of bipolar disorder. 400 BC, the ancient Greeks were among the first to move away from supernatural explanation for mental health explanation. And Hippocrates identified melancholia and mania, in other words, depression and frenzy. He believed that these states were caused by an imbalance of bodily fluid and humor. Now moving forward to 2nd century, Arius of Cappadocia. He was often credited as the father of bipolar concept. He was the first to suggest that melancholia and mania were not two separate diseases, but rather different sides of the same coin. And in 1583, Galilean, he was the first to suggest that this disorder is as a form of yin being or translated to mental disorder. And in 1851, Jean-Pierre Fallard. This is a pivotal year for modern psychiatry. He documented patients who experienced depression, mania, and lucid intervals. He noted that, and he described the patient experiencing a circulatory insanity. 20th century, Emil Kirkland. He revolutionized the field by distinguishing between schizophrenia and mania depressive psychosis. He noted that mania depression had a better prognosis because it was in a cycle rather than a steady mental decline. And then we move forward to 1949 to 1950, the lithium discovery. Australian psychiatrists named John Cade and Morgan Skill discovered the calming effect of lithium carbonate. They later published their finding on lithium carbonate and its calming effect on mental patients, making the birth of modern psychopharmacology of bipolar disorder. 1957, Carl Linhart introduced the term bipolar to differentiate between patients who experience mania depression and patients who only experience depression or unipolar. This distinction was crucial because it suggested that two groups required two different treatment approaches. From 1997 to 1974, lithium got approved by FDA and APA. Recently, from 2025 to 2026, researchers have found nearly 300 genetic regions and 36 genetic links to bipolar disorder, highlighting its complex polygenic nature and overlap with schizophrenia. And new treatment has emerged, such as accelerated RTMS.
This is the statistics of bipolar prevalence within adults, teens, and children. For adults, there's a very low occurrence of 2.8%. That's 1,000 out of every 1,000 adults, 28 are affected by bipolar disorder. But the high severity of adults, 82.9%, have a high risk of symptoms. For teens, 13 through 18, have a 2.9%, which is equivalent to the adults, because when you're a teenager, bipolar is most likely to occur, but most isn't discovered until you hit adulthood. For children, there's an estimated 1%, with you should, There's an estimated 1% for children. It's not something you should be scared of, but it's something that you should be on the lookout for. Bipolar disorder is something that if it's left untreated, it can be hit harder when you hit adulthood. What are the dangers of bipolar disorder? Some of the dangers and risks of bipolar disorder are severe functional impairment, which is around 82.9%, that affects daily life and work. So it may include schoolwork, job focus, or maybe your family and friends. For relapse, more than 73% of people relapse within a 5-year rate. Within a 5-year rate. Substance use include drug or alcohol. More than half have drug or alcohol problems, like heroin, cocaine, or fentanyl. So suicide attempt is 60% for at least one attempt, which boils down to the mortality rate, which is 20% of untreated diagnosed cases that end in suicide, which boils down to life expectancy to 13 to 25 years of life. Untangling the roles. How many of you guys have been blamed for something that wasn't entirely your fault or something that you couldn't control?
Yeah.
Same. Okay. So that goes to say for bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder is a mental function in the brain, but it does not affect character flaw. Certain things that affect it include substance use, again like drugs, alcohol, including heroin, cocaine, fentanyl, or weed. That it not only affects their meds, but also increases mania episodes or deepening depression. Routine chaos. People who struggle with bipolar disorder have a biological clock that if disturbed, it is hard to reset. So sleep deprivation and social shifts also affect this. Toxic spaces include households, maybe your friendships are toxic, maybe their friendships are toxic, their relationships, maybe their parents are encouraging them not to take their meds or influence them not to seek professional help. Missed meds. When someone who struggles with bipolar disorder misses their meds, it encourages them to keep going, but it also stops the effect of the medication as far as they're not taking it. And overload. Too much light or too much noise or too overcrowded. Sensory overload is common within bipolar disorder, which is worse seen through their mood swings. These are some of your high-profile celebrities that have bipolar disorder. Take Mariah Carey, for example. She got diagnosed with bipolar disorder back in 2001 with bipolar type 2. She not only used her status, but also her music career to advocate and promote for bipolar disorder, but also Selena Gomez uses her beauty brand, REM Beauty, to use her funds for support of bipolar disorder. These celebrities show that I have the problem doesn't have me.
The long-term effects of bipolar. One of the long-term effects of bipolar is brain fog, not being able to memorize or not being able to think quickly. Another one is a physical toll, chronic stress or heart health issues or insomnia. Another one is life stability, not being able to keep up with school or jobs. Effects of bipolar disorder can cause problems in relationships. Not being able to communicate effectively in relationships can cause a social strain or mood shifts. Another one is school. It'll be difficult to focus or complete assignments on time. And then problems sleeping. You have insomnia when you don't get enough sleep, and then hypersomnia when you get too much sleep.
What can we do to help? But not us. What can the government and schools do to help with bipolar disorder? The government can abide by giving disabled benefits such as service identifier and supplemental security income, as well as public health service such as 24/7 hotlines like 988. And the government is also providing medical assistance programs for people with disorder and healthcare. And now, what can the school do? Well, schools have education programs such as individuals education programs, and school can provide a designated safe person, like such as your counselor, and daily check-ins with your friends, family, classmates, or your teacher or your counselor.
Living with bipolar disorder can be very challenging because of can be very difficult because of the many challenges. For example, sleep problems. Sleep problems are extremely common, and they can either get too much sleep or too little sleep, and that can affect their symptoms. judge can stop someone from seeking help. Extreme mood swings, the switches between mania and depression can really overwhelm someone. Trouble with school/work. People can have trouble concentrating or even meeting deadlines, and that can really hurt their performance. Relationship struggles. Friends and family may not understand what these people are going through, and that can really affect them and cause them to pull away. So what can individuals do? Even though there are challenges, there are also healthy ways to manage them. For example, seeking professional support, going to see a doctor, psychiatrist for diagnosis and treatment, going to therapy for coping skills, taking medication like mood stabilizers is also key for managing it. Avoiding alcohol and drugs is also important because these substances can trigger mood episodes or even interfere with medication. Building a strong support system, talking to family, talking to friends, or even joining a support group can really help. Prioritizing sleep and managing stress. They can do this by practicing journaling, deep breath, deep breathing, or light exercises, creating a constant sleep schedule, and breaking big tasks into small steps. And finally, stick to treatment plans. Taking medication exactly as it is prescribed and going for regular checkups.
Here, you can take a picture if you need to.